Hello, everyone. Welcome back. In a community, a police badge is meant to be a symbol of unwavering trust and a promise to protect. Regardless, in this story, that trust was devastatingly betrayed. For years, residents across 5 Maryland counties lived in fear of a serial arsonist. The fires were calculated, targeted, and seemingly random acts of destruction. The truth, however, was far more shocking than anyone could have imagined. The man behind the flames was David Crawford, a decorated former police chief. With that being said, let's get right into it. David Crawford had a long and respectable career, with decades spent in public service, rising to the rank of major, then becoming chief of police in District Heights and later in Laurel, Maryland. But beneath the surface of his public life, Crawford harbored deep resentments. He reportedly clashed with colleagues, city officials, and even his own family members. Those disagreements would become the fuse for his nearly decade-long campaign of terror. From 2011 to 2020, 12 fires erupted across Maryland. Each one was a message and a targeted act of revenge. The method was always the same: early morning hours outside the victim's home, using gasoline and a makeshift torch. People were often sleeping inside when he would start said fires, putting numerous lives at risk. The victims were anything but random. They were the people who had allegedly crossed Crawford or his wife in some way, shape, or form. A former city official, a neighbor he argued with over a community committee, his own chiropractors, and even his stepson. One victim's house was set on fire twice, the second time just as repairs from the first fire were finished. The emotional toll was immense, destroying not just property, but peace of mind. For years, investigators saw only unrelated incidents until a sharp-eyed detective finally connected the dots, revealing a chilling pattern. Key evidence eventually emerged, and it was damning. One piece of crucial evidence came from surveillance footage of the suspect's distinctive gait. Then came the digital trail. Data from Crawford's own iPhone, specifically the Apple Health app, showed he was awake and active during the exact times the fires were set. Also, a target list of victims was found on his phone. Arguably, the most chilling piece of evidence was after one of the fires, Crawford messaged the victim on Facebook, asking for photos of the damage, appearing to sickeningly relish his handiwork. In March 2021, the former police chief was arrested, and the community was stunned.
An alleged serial arsonist caught on camera after an investigation spanning nearly a decade across city and county lines. Tonight, the former Laurel police chief is facing charges. Hello, everyone. I'm Vic Carter.
And I'm Rick Ritter. Welcome to the news at 11. Making this case even more bizarre, investigators believe he targeted family members and other police officials.
WJZ's live in Howard County. Amy Kawada actually spoke to a neighbor who witnessed one of the fires police now say was intentionally set. Amy.
Rick, Vic, investigators say retired Laurel City Police Chief David Crawford is a serial arsonist facing multiple arson and attempted murder charges. Now, we spoke with one of the neighbors, a neighbor of one of the victims in Ellicott City, who says he interacted with Crawford after the fire and didn't think anything of it at the time, but now looking back at it, he says it was all strange. A former police chief finds himself on the other side of the law. 69-year-old David Crawford arrested at his home in Ellicott City Wednesday morning. Investigators believe the man here in this shocking surveillance video from March 2019 is Crawford. You can see the man walk up to the home in Laurel, dump out a jug of gas, then set it on fire, all while people were inside asleep. Authorities say Crawford is responsible for a series of fires in Montgomery, Prince George's, Frederick, Charles, and Howard counties from 2011 to just last year. Investigators believe the homes, garages, and cars Crawford is accused of intentionally setting on fire were connected to victims he had previous disagreements with, including relatives and former co-workers.
It's a little bizarre.
In Ellicott City,
It's very bizarre, actually.
Bill Snyder lives across from one of the homes Crawford is suspected of setting on fire multiple times. He recalls the incidents.
The garage and most of the dining room and kitchen were destroyed. from the first fire.
Snyder also interacted with Crawford shortly after the blaze.
Mr. Crawford came over and wanted to know as much as I knew about the house and the history and who lived there and those kind of things. And it's just a little odd.
And in a statement from Laurel City's Mayor Craig Moe, he says these allegations are troubling and quite serious, adding our thoughts and prayers are with the victims and their families as this case proceeds. Now, tomorrow afternoon, fire officials from several different counties, including County Executive Calvin Ball, will be holding a press conference tomorrow afternoon. Again, that will be at noon. Of course, we'll bring you the latest information on air and right here on WJZ. Reporting live in Howard County, I'm Amy Kawada for WJZ.
At his trial in March 2023, the evidence painted a picture of a man driven by petty grievances and a complete indifference to human life. He was found guilty of 12 felony charges, including 8 counts of attempted first-degree murder. In June 2023, David Crawford, a man who once swore an oath to uphold the law, received his final sentence, 2 life sentences plus 75 years. He offered no apology.
It was something pretty unique from what I've seen. The judge spent more than 30 minutes explaining how he came to his sentencing decision, even quoting victim statements, before handing the 71-year-old a sentence that will likely see him spending his remaining days in prison. A jury convicted David Crawford in March of arson and attempted murder. The former Laurel police chief setting fire to multiple homes throughout Howard County over a period of years and caught on camera doing it. When he was given the chance to speak in court before his sentencing on Tuesday, Crawford said, "With God, all things are possible." But he never apologized to any of his victims in the room.
His mention of God was so hypocritical when he literally ruined a bunch of people's lives.
Quinn Henderson was just a teenager when Crawford burned down her home not once, but twice. Now the 22-year-old says she's relieved to be moving on with her life.
I'm ready to just live my own life without him looming over me and without me being afraid.
Crawford's defense attorney Robert Bonsib called Tuesday a sad day.
Mr. Crawford spent a couple of decades serving the community as a law enforcement officer. This is a sad and tragic ending for him.
Bonsib said repeatedly before the judge revealed his decision that arson should only carry a maximum sentence of 28 years. He lost that argument on Tuesday, but he says the fight's not over.
We have what we believe are a number of meritorious issues for appeal. We're going to be filing that appeal shortly.
Howard County State's Attorney Richard Gibson said after the sentencing that Crawford's decision to speak about God before the sentencing was especially troubling considering his crimes.
Mr. Crawford is someone who lacks basic humanity.
Again, the judge took more than 30 minutes to explain how he came to his conclusion for sentencing. And he noted 2 things that he said were especially disturbing. That Crawford's vanity plate on his car was the same as the can of gasoline that he used to light the fires, and that Crawford contacted his victims after having already set their homes on fire. For the 11 News I-Team,
The case remains a dark reminder of how power can corrupt and how a desire for revenge can turn a public servant into a serial criminal. The victims are left to rebuild their lives, forever marked by the actions of a man who should have been a symbol of safety. What do you think about this case? Was justice ultimately served? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you all for watching, and as usual, if you're a fan of urban legends, folklore, unsolved mysteries, cold cases, and all things mysterious, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel.